there, Commercial Construction Coffee Talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corson. I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction Renovation magazines. Chris Donner, Mammoth, Tim Holton, Chicken Guy, also JLL. Lots of construction. Anyway, that's what the magazine looks like. Hey, here's what the print magazine used to look like before we went 100% digital. Sport check out of Canada, Vice President of Construction. Anyway, thanks for finding us on the web. TGIF, weekend ahead of us. I got my University of Denver colors on. It's game day tomorrow. On the road to Providence, Big East play. We're 7-5 and number 19 in the country. Got who do we have left? I've got Providence and then Marquette. And then it's the Big East tournament. We win the Big East. We're in the national tournament. See what happens. You know, lacrosse. Listen, Maryland is the king. They're undefeated. They're on a different level. They just hammered Ohio State, and we beat them. But Maryland is in a league of their own, and everybody else is pretty consistent from number 2 to number 20. Anybody could beat everybody on any given day. I know last night. Who was it? I was watching. It was Notre Dame. They just destroyed North Carolina, which is I think number 9 in the country. So it's amazing time in lacrosse because everything is league play and everybody's jockeying for position and the tournament and then the national tournament. There's only 16 teams that get in there. You got to win the league to get in, and then there's a couple of at-large bids. My University of Denver Pioneers. We've been in the dance just about every year. I got my 2015 national championship term. Tee on, and we've been there, just haven't gotten it done, but they've you never know. It's like anything else. You gotta have momentum, gotta be healthy, gotta be positive, and they can get it done. So tomorrow at noon, my wife's gonna be like, oh my god, he's screaming at the TV. I watch it on the web, but anyway, we're playing the Friars up in Rhode Island, and we got to get her done, and but to beat Georgetown, they beat us. That's really who's the big team in the league, and it could come down to us making the tournament there or not. So with that said, one last thing, national champions in ice hockey. We just won the national D1 on the ice. We beat Michigan for the semifinals, and then we beat Minnesota State. So I know I put it up on my LinkedIn, and I know people aren't even DU fans. I think I had over 1,000 people viewing like my little, hey, 9th national championship. Only college. We have a football team. Only college has 9 national championships on the ice. So way to go, boys. I can't wait to go out to campus and hold the trophy again. It's one of my favorite things. Go see the coaching staff of lacrosse and then say, okay, where's that hockey tournament? NCAA, I want to hold it. So, it's going to look nice in the case with all the other 8. So anyway, enough with Pios. They'll get it done tomorrow, I'm sure. So anyway, today, got actually a neighbor right across the river, the Chattahoochee. We're going to talk construction, renovation, keeping employees happy. Right now, it's all about your workers. You can't find them. You want to keep the ones that you have happy. And it doesn't matter if you're doing construction, flooring, it doesn't matter. You got to have people doing stuff. So keeping people happy is what it's all about. So today we have Mr. John Morris, who's the president of the Beam team in Alpharetta, Georgia. John, say hello to our guests out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk.
Hey, David. Hey, guests. Happy to be here. Friday night.
Yeah, Friday night. And, and we got the Hawks coming up 0-2. So, I'm an Atlanta guy, so we got to pull for the B-ball team. They got to get a win. If going down 0-3, I think it's over. But if they win tonight, good for them. So anyway, like I said, the reason why I have John on, he's kind of, he's president of a firm overseeing a lot of, employees. And we had talked, and he's kind of a motivational guy, and, trying to help people. And, so many people these days, like I said, you're trying to keep people happy, finding people, are they going to be the right chemistry and all that stuff. So I thought that since we're all going through the same thing, that it would be nice to have John give us his expertise on this. So John, the way this works is you're going to tell us your story, where you grew up, where you went to school, got your brothers, sisters, dogs, cats, all that good stuff. And then, how you ended up at the Beam team. and then we'll talk about like the last 24 months of roller coaster, and then we'll close it out. So, with that said, John, the floor is yours. Tell us your story.
My story. It's so exciting. I hope you don't lose any of your subscribers on my explanation.
If they're tuning in now and I haven't tuned them off, believe me,
if they've made it this far, we're good.
Yeah.
All right. So I grew up in Chicago, actually. I lived in the same house for 18 years. And then I went to Northern Illinois University. I studied business there. Got my first job in the fleet industry. So if you're a big company, you got a bunch of vehicles, you need somebody to help manage that fleet of vehicles. I went to go work there in HR. So I was a big numbers guy in school.
What was your degree in it at Northern Illinois?
Degree was business management,
okay.
But I had to you had to pick a specialty in there, and I went into HR, human resources. And it's kind of interesting because I'm into numbers, scored really well in statistics and everything, but I didn't want to go into finance and accounting. And there's a little piece of HR that a lot of people don't know about, and that is the HR analytics and compensation and benefits. And there's a component of finance there. And I know that at the time, it was a high demand market, low supply of people that could do it inside of HR. So I moved in there and then kind of fell in love with the people side of HR. I didn't think I would, but I was a numbers dude, and then got into the human behaviors and performance management, how you can kind of pull those levers to make a business really work and get business results. So from there, I just kind of moved into HR management, moved into a couple different companies as head of HR, and then ultimately found myself at Beam Team. But when I came over here, I worked for the owners of Beam Team, own several other companies, and they're called Hall Boys. That's the holding company.
Believe me, I know them all. I mean, so
yeah,
there's I know the Beam Team story, but you can tell it.
There's six brothers and one brother from another mother who own the company all equally, and they're all football players. They're all competitive, so you can imagine what kind of meetings we have. But they own several different businesses, and they brought me in to really help kind of professionalize some of these companies that they've acquired and built over the years. They're starting to become of size where they needed some policies, procedures, board of directors, the corporate governance kind of stuff. So I did that for a few years, and then we ended up selling off a couple of companies, and I gravitated towards Beam Team, which was one of their businesses, and ultimately moved into an operational role inside Beam Team, and left my corporate HR role, moved into operations as a vice president of operations. And I was there in that role for a few years, and then moved into the president role effective January this year as one of the owners.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, the captain goes down with the ship now, so.
It's party time. It's party time.
Yeah.
It's been, so April 22nd, and feels like it's been 4 years, but it's been 4 months now. But no, it's good. And I'm, of course, very, very familiar with the business. So, it was a nice transition in, and helped Greg kind of move into his retirement years. So it's been fun, and the company's doing great. So we're having a good time. But like you said, we do have a lot of employees, and it's a tough market now, but just doing what we can to keep people motivated, keep them happy, trying to grow. We have record growth this year. So, just trying to make sure that we're hiring the right people, training them. We just had a big festival at our office today called Rib Fest. So it's just one of those things that we try and do to have fun in the office. We got some guys that are really into cooking ribs, and
couldn't have asked for a nicer day. I mean, other than the pollen, that you got to wipe off your the minute you go outside you're green. But other than that, it was beautiful. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a good time. So
nice little breeze, beautiful out.
It's very nice. Yeah, and we're just trying to make it a fun place to work. We work hard, we play hard. Things are moving quick around here, so we're about to come into a really busy summer. So it's about just getting jacked up and going for it.
I've been around 25 years, so I've known the Beam Team forever. So I remember when all the big boxes were just cranking out hundreds and hundreds of stores, and they had to get the gondolas and all this stuff, and I found out I know a couple of the sister companies, and it's been amazing to see the growth of the Beam Team over the years, and then look, you had the dot-com bubble, you had 9/11, then you had the 2008 crash. I'm not being dismal here, I'm just thinking about all the pits and valleys, and
Oh yeah.
and you're still staying in today, and look where you're at, and but God, being an HR guy, people are like, HR. Oh, that's like I've been out of corporate America, but I worked at Nielsen before I went on my own in 2001, I think it was, or, and so, right, HR is like the last thing you want to. Whenever you hear HR, it's like, oh, this can't be good. It's not a good thing, man. HR
Principal's office. Yeah.
You need to come up to the HR office. You say, this can't be good, man. What did
Yeah.
I
Just
do?
pack your stuff.
Who did I look at right, or what did I do? And so that's a pretty cool gig that you pick that little niche, and so that's really cool. I mean,
I love it, man. I love it. And a company like Beam Team, where it's people. That's what we do. Is we supply a service that's driven by the talent that we have on our staff. So coming from that career it really was a nice matchup, and especially for us as we grow, we're going to hire over 1,000 people this year. So just that growth and the amount of work that goes into people management and hiring and firing and all that fun stuff. It was a good fit for me.
So looking at the last 24 months, going back end of February, beginning of March of 2020, country's booming, cranes all over the place. I don't care what city you were in, they were all over the place. Low unemployment, even them was trying to find people was hard because everybody was unemployed. I was an economics major, so full employment is basically 5%. Okay. There's always going to be people that are in transition, are retiring or whatever, but you're never going to be at 0%, very rarely. So, but basically 5% and under is basically almost at full employment. Now, the way that the government is they don't count a lot of the people that are decide to drop out of the workforce, and so their numbers are crazy. But as an econ major, that's what I learned, that anything underneath 5, that's basically almost full employment. So
Right.
There's not many people that you can choose from. And so looking back over 24 months, the roller coaster started, and over those 24 months, knowing that you just transitioned to your new position, but you were there during this, what lessons have you learned? I mean, how did you handle it? You have all these employees, they all weren't working out of the office. They were all probably all over the country. Jobs going on. Some of them weren't essential. Some of them were. Were you an essential business when the whole?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
you were open, and plus we were in Georgia, so we were basically open anyway. So, talk about that whole psyche. As like from like an HR perspective, in basically compensating all the pits and valleys that went through that, and then maintaining that positive wavelength through your company to where you are today.
Yeah, I mean, it gives me chills every time I think about it because of what we went through during that time. And a lot of different things happened. Really, really good things for the company happened during that time. We learned a lot, and we got very, very strong. And I think, if you had to ask, like, what are the major lessons or what kind of came out of it, especially the positive things, is that you learn as a business how to operate totally remotely. And we've always had employees that work remotely, right? But they were treated a little bit differently. We'd have a meeting in this office, in this room, and we'd call up those people, bring them in. But what they missed out on were all those other conversations that happened in the hallways and whatnot. And what this did for us is it forced us to be organized in our communications. You can't assume that the right decision makers or the right audience is going to be in the office with you. So everything is driven by an agenda and a meeting and Teams meetings. So it really forced us to engage everybody and all the right people. And I have a lot of people that were working remotely prior to COVID, and they came in and said, man, I feel more engaged than I ever did. Like I'm included in things more than I was before. So the challenge is going to be, how do we keep that discipline going now that we are back in the office? We've been back for a long time, but it's kind of funny. I'll have meetings here in the office, and I'll be on Teams. I won't even leave my desk, and I'll notice that everyone in the meeting is in the office, but we're on our computer doing it.
Yeah.
So you were trying to keep the discipline where you invite all the right people. You don't just walk down to somebody's office and grab a couple people. If there's somebody outside the office, you include them, right? So, and we make decisions together, and we're a team. And that is the way to run a business. And I've noticed just the level of engagement and energy and communications are more consistent. It changes everything in a business. So it's helped us a lot. I think the other thing is we've always been a company that moves fast. We can make decisions quick. We can be in and out of projects quick and pivot, but this was a whole new level. I mean, normally if we were to launch a big program where we would go install, as an example of, okay, so the signage that stores put in during COVID, during the shutdown major, would be like the 6-foot signs, stay 6 feet away or whatever, those plastic guards. So a big program like that, so if we had to go hang those signs in 1,000 stores, it would take us a while to prep for this program. How do we price it right? How do we get the right materials? All this stuff. We were getting those and turning them around in days. And it would take a whole team of people here just figuring this out. And we're working all the way through the night. And, part of it was desperation. Everyone was struggling in business. We were just trying to get whatever we could. And we had to make this happen to keep our employees going and keep them paid. So we were just killing it, trying to do this stuff. But it taught us how to work really quick and how to make decisions quick. A big company with all the red tape, they wouldn't even get anywhere. So we just
it's an aircraft carrier, man. It's going to take forever for it to turn.
You couldn't wait that long. You'd have to be, we'd have customers ask if we could do something. And if you were a couple hours late, they would have found somebody already. That's how fast things were moving at that time. And so you don't want to always run like that. Obviously, you want to be smart and think about things, but it did force us to figure out how do we move quick, make decisions as a unit quickly and intelligently. And then coming out of the whole mess that, supply is low, demand is super high, and you just have to be more disciplined as to which programs fit your company the best. And it's not one of these days where it's like, I just take the first thing that comes. We got to be smart about it. And which services are we going to provide our best service to, and which customers fit us the best? And I think that's been one of the game changers for us as well. We can't do everything, but what we do choose to do, we are going to do it right.
Yeah. I think so many people that I've talked to, brands, architects, contractors, vendors. I have athletes on here, and they've all learned so much about not only about their businesses, but as well as their home life, and it's been an amazing 24 months of, even myself. I was humming right along. I had my 10th anniversary event. I had my first cocktail party in Coconut Grove. We looked at did it with the RCA, and we're at the bar. And then I'm in Milwaukee in the airport, and the whole freaking March Madness gets canceled. And we were playing Ohio State. I was going to Ohio State that weekend to go see DU play him in the horseshoe. Canceled. And so anyway, come home, and then it's like, oh, it's only gonna be a couple of weeks. Here we are 24 months later, and we're still talking about the stuff. And but so many people right off the bat, okay, what are my liabilities on the site? How am I going to keep my people safe on the job? What do we do in this case? All of these different things. Even myself, the hotel was trying to get me to book my hotel for the following year. I'm like, look, I don't even know what's even going to go on, but I'll tell you one thing: I need a CDC language in my contract, because I know you don't buy the food for my event, 6 months in advance. You buy it in a couple days. I'm taking I have to get the hotels and airplane, and then if something happens and no one can fly or travel, I'm on the hook for it. You're not on it, So these are all things, even myself. But I'm talking to other people who are like, oh my God, we're going through the same thing. What's the legal jargon that we need in our contracts? And and then on your client side, I can imagine being, what you guys do, construction, installations, logistics, construction, all that stuff that, they see the phone ring and they recognize, oh, I don't want to take this call because I'm gonna have to tell them, hey, I put that off, or, we're going to 180 days, or, if you didn't have a cell phone or a Gmail account for people, you weren't getting in touch with anybody, and that was the worst thing. I was like, God, if you have a Gmail or a cell phone, you were golden, It was an amazing thing. But I had all these conversations. I'm listening to all these people, but it was amazing to see all these people rally. They didn't get negative. They didn't freak out, and they learned a lot about their business. And they, just kind of, look, I was a print guy. And like overnight, I had a digital magazine. I ignored it. It was like a stepchild to me, second class citizen, and I had it there. I just ignored it for all these years. Thank God I had it. I was lucky I did it way back when. So when I went, I was like, okay, what are we going to do? And then, so I've used that word pivot so many times. I was like, look, we had a little meeting just like you did. And I said, my editor, my artist, I go, what are we going to do? And they're like, we're going to go monthly, digital. And I'm like, well, I still like the magazine. So I went for a year. And then finally, at the end of last year, I think August of 2021 was my last issue. I had White Castle, their biggest store that they've ever built, on the cover, VP Construction. And I was going to put in my media kit. Well, I'm not going to print the magazine anymore. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to do it now. I'm done with it. I don't miss the post office. I don't miss, any of that, but I miss having the magazine. But so many other avenues have opened up, like, from where I was in print face-to-face to now a digital guy and data, that and I've learned so much. It's been unbelievable. Plus I sold my house, renovated the basement. I've been helping, I learned so much. And I am talking to people, just hearing about what they went through. I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. Believe me, I'm the first person. I don't know everything. So if I hear something really cool that I could apply to myself, that I know someone else did, maybe I might have to tweak it because it might be a little different business. Hey, the day you stop learning is the day you should go do something else, in my opinion. Or if you're not having fun, right, or whatever. So that whole mentality of just what you said, that, the meeting and the culture was the biggest thing that I think people had worries about, that, do I trust my people? Well, most construction people aren't really in the office anyway, at least the people that are out in the field. But a lot of companies are worried about, can I trust my people to get up in the morning? I mean, some people have to be in an office. Some people can't work out of the house. Now it's like, hey, I want to go to the sports game. I want to go to the rock concert. I want to go to the beach. Do I want to come back to the office? Hell no. And as a business owner, I just read this article that business owners have to, that have all these people. What do you do with the ones? Do you go hybrid? You make them come in a couple of days a week because you don't want to tick them off. Now they found out that they're more productive at home, or as productive they were, but they're happier, they're more engaged, you get more out of them, and they're not getting all the gossip and the water cooler stuff, which is company culture, nothing wrong with it, but they get to see their kids go off, or they hang with their dog all day, but they're getting stuff done. And how do you keep that mentality in your corporate culture? Or you could offshore it and get them for much cheaper, but you might not get the same value. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and this is what this article was talking about, that, these people, they want to go to rock concerts, they want to do all this stuff, but they don't want to go back to the office, and
but they'll come to Rib Fest in my
they're going to come for the ribs. Absolutely. I'd come I'd get an invite. Come on.
Hey, we're gonna have Wing Fest is coming up. You can come.
Okay, I'll come across the river. I'll come across. I'll come across. So
yeah,
but that's really talking to all these people over the last year and a half, 2 years, is that they've learned so much and that they've transformed, but they're still the same business, and a lot of them are even more profitable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, those things that we were forced to learn made us a lot better, a lot stronger. And fortunately, the demand is there for what we do, so that helps a lot. But it's we are faster and stronger and better, and you figure out who are the strong players and who's not. Who those people that don't work out well at home means that they're just not into it. They're not that dedicated to what they do, or they don't like it, or they're not good at it. So kind of people at home figured out, like, I don't really like this. I get bored and I don't want to work. So go do something you like. And we were left with everybody that's totally bought in. Everyone's doing well. So I couldn't be more happy with the team that we have now, that kind of came through this together and coming out the other side on top.
Is the HR side of the business kind of the same, or did it have a little transition in itself, do you think? Because that's your background.
Yeah, it did. And we have, we've gone through, we're on our second HR leader. And so going through that whole process was just, that's something nobody has ever done before, so there's a lot of opinions on how we should be managing employees and how we should be going about it. And obviously the business operators don't want any disruption. They just want to do business. And the HR folks are always worried about the legal compliance and things like that. So it's that clash that you normally have between HR and operations got really bad for a period of time. And you're in survival mode as a business. You're like, I don't care about the rules anymore. I got to stay open. And so we did go through those things, but again, it makes you stronger, and it helped that team kind of be engaged with the business and work together to ultimately achieve those business results. So I think it was a good thing overall.
What do you think was the coolest project that you did? You don't have to name any names, but what was the coolest thing that you think you did that you didn't think that you were going to be able to get done, and you did it? Through the roller coaster. Sorry to put you on the spot, but because I know you guys do all sorts of stuff. So
we do all kinds of fun stuff. But what happened during that period is it did open up some doors for us into some big customers that we have today. That there were a lot of customers that they got into panic mode and they had to open it up to new providers to do things. And we did everything from, we supplied workers into warehouses of retailers because at the time they were just trying to get product out the door. And so that's not what we do, but we had workers available that traditionally are doing construction work, but we didn't have that kind of work going on. So like, you can go work in this warehouse. I'm going to pay you a lot of money to do it. And so we supplied, gosh, it was hundreds of people to go work in distribution centers, and they're just, working manual labor, but it kind of kept everyone working and kept the paychecks coming for a period of time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what was cool about that particular project is that was one of those things that came to my inbox at probably like 7 p.m. on a Friday or some night that said, I'm in a huge jam and I need 300 people to start like tomorrow. So we were up all night, and this was the leader of construction at a different big retailer. This is a big job. Like, we rarely talk to this person because they're so high up and they're having meetings, but you get to the point where it's like, this is all hands on deck. And this guy calls me up and he's talking to me on my cell phone at 10 p.m. on a when we would never talk that late on a regular work day. So it was just panic mode, and we organized teams. We had people working through the whole night, calling people saying, hey, when can you get to this job site tomorrow? And we deployed hundreds and hundreds of people in just a few days. It was fantastic.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
It was intense, man.
Troops, man. Come on, man. Intense. Grab your
and you
stuff.
come out with that camaraderie and that bond between whoever you were in the trenches with. And for us, it was these customers. It's like, I'll never forget it. We were up all night long trying to figure this out together. For us, it was to keep our people busy and keep them have paychecks coming. People wanted to work and they wanted paychecks coming, and this was our opportunity to make it happen. For me, it's like, I could have just went to bed, but we're fighting for our employees and to keep things going and keep product moving through their warehouse. It was pretty cool.
Listen, this week I had a client. He had a client. Roof was leaking and it ruined some paint and some drywall. And anyway, he reached out to me. He said, hey, I can't find anybody. Do you have anybody? So I made some calls and finally got, the roofer to call me back this morning. And I had another, and I said, hey, I'm going to put this in. He's like, David, man, I don't know what I would have done if I, and I'm like, dude, you're okay. But it was crazy because last night I was making the call at about like 10:30. I'm almost like, what are you calling at 10:30? I'm like, no, I'm trying to get this thing on there. I just got this text from this guy. He's 3 hours behind me and he's just getting off work and he's just probably checking his phone or his email. And, these people, they want to keep their store open. They got a leak and they don't, and, so I totally get that. And listen, at that point, you don't have a choice. It really, really did, separate the men from the boys, and I hate to say, I'm not being all the ladies out there, the ladies from the girls, okay, whatever you want to say it. The bottom line is the people that wanted it got it done. The ones that didn't, you have to let those guys go. And from an HR perspective, you got to trim the fat where it is. And
it made that part easy. It was very clear who was on the team and who was not, and made those decisions easy. You never like to do them, but at certain times This is what we got to do.
Hey, when you're in survival mode, you know, it's, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But listen, I thought it was exciting. Every day, you know, it was, you know, that first month when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, because I was going through just like everybody else was going through. You know, you come in and I'm like, what am I going to do today? You know, who's there? And so that those couple weeks that I kind of would, well, I would get up in the middle of the night. I'm like, I can't. I'm like, where are you going? I can't sleep. She's like, what are you doing? Going to work? I'm like, no, I'm just going to kind of contemplate and kind of think about things. And you know, that whole month of like April of 2020, after I put that issue out, by March, April, we were thinking, and then you roll the dice, and then you don't know. You know, you roll the dice, and you're like, okay, am I going to do it? And you know, what's going to happen? And so it. But now I look back, I'm like, oh my god, you know, I'm a completely different company. I'm still as busy as I was, but you know, you know, it's just amazing. You know, just everything. You know, I never thought I would never.
Yeah.
You know, just like yourself, you know, the Hall boys got rid of a couple of their divisions, and you look how much stronger the beam team is now, you know, and probably more profitable too. And
Right.
so it and you're in the same boat with a lot of other companies, and you know, it's just exciting. It's very cool that, you know, you treat your employees right. I think more companies should do that kind of stuff. If you're out there on commercial construction coffee talk, if you haven't done a barbecue or anything like for your man, you should do that. Take them to the bowling alley. Go for an afternoon. I mean, you'd be amazed at what that stuff will do for camaraderie. And you'll see the ones that'll buy in, and the ones that not, get rid of them. You know, because there's other people that will buy into it. And you know, I'm a sport guy. I always like having athletes on here because you know, they win and lose. You're not going to win every game. They got to pick yourself up. There's always a game tomorrow. You know, are you gonna win the Super Bowl? No, not everybody. It's impossible to get there. You know, if you make it there, you know what? Just you making it there. So I always like athletes because they have that drive, and they know that there's winning and there's losing. You got to learn from all that. And so when I went through this whole thing, you know, like 2008 when the crash happened, the country was still open. It was just a lot of people were getting laid off or furloughed or whatever word you want to use, but everything was still kind of there. Here, it was just, you had no idea, you know?
Yeah.
And that was probably the worst thing. And then deciding how you're going to get yourself ramped up quickly, like overnight, you know?
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden I go into Lowe's, and the next day I got the plastic shields at the cashiers. You know, or Target, everybody had them. You know, someone
Yep.
had to build all those things. All those fixture guys, they were like, what am I going to do, man? I'm going to build PPV, you know, or
That's right.
or I'm going to build masks, or I'm going to help guy fill boxes at the distribution center, you know? So
Just do what it takes. That's right.
no, man, listen, that's the American way, man. I think it's a good story. I don't like thinking about this whole thing as negative. Listen, a lot of people got sick, and some people passed. I mean, I think that's terrible, but in the whole scheme of things, it was an amazing thing that, you know, I always tell people, like, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Just hang in there, hang in there. Now, the tunnel's full, the light's out there, the sun's out there. I got the pollen too, but you know, it's an exciting 2022. You know, 2021. I'm glad that door's shut, because 2022 now we're kind of, every day there's so much that goes on. I mean, politically,
Yeah.
business wise, sport. I mean, every day there's just so much that goes on. By the time I'm ready to go to bed, I'm like, you know, I'm spent, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it all over again. You know, I'm going to go into the meat grinder again tomorrow. You know, but at least I'm going to have fun doing it. You know, so
Yeah, I hear you. It made it fun. And just like you said, not to put light on the whole situation, because obviously it's terrible. I'm the type of guy that I'm going to find the positive in anything.
yeah.
And you would never, ever wish for that again. But we learned a lot. There was a lot of positive that came out of it. And now we're in the exciting times. 2021, you're right. That was the hangover. That was like, what just happened? You know, for the whole year, you're trying to figure stuff out. But we're a resilient group of people in the whole country, and things are somewhat back to normal. You know, once they took away the mask mandate in the airports, I'm like, COVID's over now officially. Let's go. You know, I feel like being in Georgia, it's been pretty normalized for the last year or so. But yeah, we're back to kid parties and school and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah. I play in the old men's lacrosse league. So we played, no one got COVID, and we got rid of we did the rah-rah at the end, we didn't shake hands. Okay. Did that make a difference to me? No, we all smell anyway, but it and sweating our tails off. But it even that little league, we all had to kind of bond together and figure out, okay, how are we going to make this safe? I'm on the board, so I run my team. I was the team manager, so I'm running a babysitting service as it was. So trying to figure out how are we going to keep people safe and get them out there. And some people are like, hey, I've got my parents living with me, and they're old, I don't want to bring anything home. And it's amazing. You don't realize how much all that stuff went on. It wasn't just business. It was personal life. It was everything.
It's funny you mentioned that. I have my son, he's 10 years old. He plays baseball, and I'm one of the coaches on the team. Last year, we'd play the game. At the end of the game, you don't line up and shake hands. You stand there and you wave. You say, good game. And it was so bizarre to me. But this season, we're shaking hands at the end of the game. And that first time that we did it, parents are cheering, and I'm like, it's over. We're back.
Oh yeah,
it's a good feeling.
There's about 225 guys, 8 teams, and we all know each other. And look, it gets violent on the field. I mean, it gets very chippy, but at the end of the day, we're on the parking lot drinking beer afterwards, smoking cigars.
Yeah.
You all have to go to work on Monday, so it is what it is. And so we still do the rah-rah, but I took off this winter, and just because I just was swamped. And but I know that they went back to doing the handshakes and stuff, and the fist pump. Yeah, if they want to do the fist pump, that's okay with me too. But I'm like when we saw you in December, when I saw you at Centerville, okay, that was my first event in 2 years. I hugged people, I shook hands, I wasn't wearing a mask.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. I hadn't seen anybody for. What? I'm a million miler. I went to book my ticket on Delta, and I didn't even remember what my password was. I had to look it up in my freaking phone. I told my wife, you're not going to believe this. I don't remember what my password was. She's like, oh my God, you're going to go on the road? Yay.
Yeah. Of all the stuff we learned about business, it all comes down to just having that realization that life is precious and life is short, and people and relationships mean a lot more than what we thought they did. And, for me, it's the same thing. Going back to it and getting back out in the field and job sites was like the best thing. And I love it. And I love social events now way more than I used to. And I think you just kind of just put that in your head that people are, this is awesome. We're great.
Social animals. We're not built to live in caves and stuff, maybe way back when, but not now. And,
there's no time for petty arguments and stuff like that. Like if you're not having a good time, do something else.
I wish I would have seen you would have had a video of your kids' baseball team shaking hands and the parents cheering. That's like the total American poster video I'd love to have.
That's right. That should be like a commercial. Let's go.
America. Yeah. So if you had to leave our listeners out there in commercial construction coffee talk land with one positive phrase or thought, what would it be?
Man, you said it in the starting of the interview, and I'm trying to think about it as you were talking. The one thing, this is so cheesy.
Come on, you're an HR guy. You got to have it in there.
I got all kinds of stuff, but the one that I always say, and it's super cheesy, but it's work hard, play hard. And you have to stop and celebrate and have fun and play. And, we spend more time with each other here at work than we do with our own families at home. So let's go have fun. Let's have Rib Fest out in the parking lot. And I think if you do that and you enjoy each other's company and you're motivated to help each other, that the business part comes a lot easier and it's a lot more fun. And it's fun when you win and you're successful. So I try and never forget that. Let's stop and celebrate and have some fun.
That's a coach's gig right there. I hate to tell you, work hard, play hard, work hard, play smart, leave it on the field, look yourself in the mirror. I can go down all the stuff that I told all my teams all over the place, forever. I just linked in kid, he was my neighbor, my kid, we went through rec in high school and lacrosse. And anyway, it was his birthday and Facebook friend. So I always just do the Facebook, hey, and he came back and said, hey, Coach Corson, tell Mrs. Corson and Brody I said hello, and man ball, and I was like, wow, that was really cool. That after all these years, they still call me coach. And
Yeah.
and you know, but what's funny is I remember when he was like in seventh grade, but now they're like 6'5". I had this other guy I was having dinner with, and he looked down, he goes, "Hey, Coach Corson, is that you?" And I'm looking up at this monster, and I'm like, "Do I know you?" He's like, "It's Colton. I was your D-pole." I'm like, "Colton, man, you've been eating Wheaties. You're freaking a monster." You look like a D1 D-pole defenseman. What are you doing? You're waiting here in Sugar Hill. Anyway, but it's just being a coach and watching, and then you can actually take stuff and apply it to your business. And
Yeah, I love it. I got roped into coaching last year just because they had a shortage of people volunteering. And I'm like, oh man, I'm busy. And, these kids can annoy me sometimes, but no, I love it. And it's frustrating sometimes, but you're exactly right. And, if I'm giving the pep talk to the 10-year-olds, they're not listening, but it's good practice for business, right?
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. My son, I was his coach. We put him on skates. I was a hockey lacrosse player, so we put him on skates right when he could walk, and took skating lessons. And then it was time for him to go play squirts or mites. He's like, "I want to play roller hockey." I'm like, "Okay." So they had a roller rink down in Norcross. So we went down there, and they had an they had a men's league. So of course I coached him. I didn't want some Yahoo doing, because that's the one thing, I don't like the daddy ball, that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And but I want my kid to be taught right. So I coached all through roller hockey. We got one, Physic, and then about 7th, 8th grade, he's like, when I'm bird on roller, and I was still playing in the men's league, and he goes, "I want to play lacrosse." So I go, "Okay." So I go and I go to the North Gwinnett and the rec league, and they were yelling at me. They're like, "Oh my God, you were a D1 lacrosse player. You've been sitting here all this time, and you haven't helped." I'm like, "Look, I did Taekwondo with my son too, so I was looking at him. I was so hard on my son because I wanted him to know that, hey, this is the way you have to live. Because when you get out in the business world, if you don't have thick skin, it's a vicious world out there. So you better learn how to get it on the sports field. You're going to be much better out in the real world." So when I was sitting down in the Taekwondo center, I was looking at my son. I'm like, "God, I'm hard on him. When he gets about 15 or 16, he's going to get pissed off and he's going to kick my tail. I got to learn how to protect myself because he's going to be a monster." And he lifts weights, and he is a monster now these days. So we went through all of it, and he was a brown belt, and he got sick. And I said, "Listen, take a couple weeks off and you come back." I couldn't get back on that. So I went through it, and I got my black belt in Taekwondo. And I told him, I said, "Look, you can always go back and get it. It's not a time thing, and you never stop learning. But that would be something, finish what you start." But I was very hard on him. And the other day, he came home to take his A&P license test. He works at Boeing, and he came in to take his test here. And he said, "Dad, even though you were really hard on me, you never get, I'm glad you were much harder than me than the other kids. And you didn't play any of that daddy ball stuff because, I can see it now." Because I told him, I said, "Look, when you go out in the workforce, some days you're not going to like your job. You're not going to like your boss. You're not going to like your peers. You're just going to be in there. You're going to have to deal with all sorts of, from an HR perspective, all sorts of personalities, to blend." And that's why I like sports, because you get all sorts of people from all walks of life. And if you can blend them to buy into your system, and some of them it's tough love, especially when you get up into high school. The best players only play. It's not rec. Not everybody gets a trophy, and
Right.
so it's in 20. I said 20 years from now, you're going to look back and say, "Dad, you were right." And now he's already even starting to say it. So I was like, I tell my wife, "See, I wasn't that hard on him. It was good that I did." But work hard,
Martial
play
arts is
hard.
great.
That's awesome. So if
Right.
anybody wanted to talk to the Beam team and find out, hey, what could you do for us, or bounce some HR questions off you, or how would they get in touch with you?
Best thing is check out our website. Like you said, we do a bunch of different stuff, so you can check it out. There's places where you can contact us through the website, and you'll be directed based on what you're looking for or what you need. But I am always open to talking about ideas and networking with other business folks. And if you like what you heard, we could talk about anything. So I've enjoyed this, and would love
And
to
that's
do it
at
again.
thebeamteam.com, correct?
That is correct. Thebeamteam.com.
Okay. If anybody
Got
wants to
that big logo on there.
yeah. If anyone wants to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me at davidc@ccr-mag.com. And if you're not a subscriber, up on the menu bar, subscribe, send the magazine out to 125,000 people, have a couple people a month hit the site. So we'd love to have you. I know I always say this and you're sick of it, but if you don't buy a lottery ticket, you can't win. You don't send me some content, I can't post it for you. I'll find something. I reply to everybody. So, you know, send me a cool project, send me a charity golf tournament thing. I'll put it up there and, you know, you can share it and it's a win-win for everybody involved. So, John, pleasure, coach, HR, president, ribmeister, you know, on a Friday afternoon. I mean, a jack of all trades. This is awesome. And, you know, listen, thank you so much for taking time out, you know, right before the weekend. And for all you out there, commercial construction coffee talk land, look, TGIAF, go enjoy the weekend, have some fun, spend some time with your family, you know, and get ready to recharge your battery because next week it's all over again. And before you know, it's gonna be summer, and then it's gonna be the holidays, you know, because time's going quick. It's running faster, you know, as I get older, man. Boy, the days just blow by. So, John, say goodbye over in Alpharetta on Blue Lakes Parkway, right?
Bluegrass Parkway.
Bluegrass.
Wingfest coming up. Yeah, work hard, play hard.
All right. Well, listen, I just make sure, you know, when you're figuring out that wing thing, you know, shoot me a little email. I'll come down to my truck. And
I will. You'll smell it. You'll smell it coming your way.
All right. So listen.
Thank you.
Say goodbye from Alpharetta. I'm going to say goodbye from just below the Beaufort Dam in Sugar Hill, just below Lake Lanier. And everybody, enjoy the weekend and go Pios tomorrow up in Providence. Let's beat those Friars. And we will see you next time on another episode of Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. John, you were awesome. I will talk to you later. All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, man. See ya.